Hey everybody, I wanted to do a quick review of my mountain bike that I got from Costco. It is the Northrock XC6. It was $350 at the Costco that I go to. I'm not sure, it may be different prices around the country. And for that, some of the highlights are the SR Suntour XCT V4 front suspension, Tektro Novela brakes. I can't really get back there to show it, y'all just have to look at this side, but I promise that they're Novelas. A Shimano Crank, a Tourney front derailleur, Shimano Acera rear derailleur, WTB Moto Raptor 26 by 2.1 tires, WTB SpeedV seat, an aluminum frame, and weighs about 32 pounds. Let me back up a little bit here. This camera is really weird and I have to stand about 10 feet away from it to get it all in the shot. Anyway, this is my first mountain bike and I've put about 50 miles on it and nothing too hardcore. It's just been single track trails, you know, with a few little jumps in it and some rocks. It's nothing too major. Anyway, it has performed quite well for me. I had to adjust a few things out of the box, specifically the friggin' brakes. They take so much adjusting to get it right. I had to move the fixed caliper several times to get it to stop from squeaking all the time. I mean, when I first got it, it was in contact with the disc all the time. Had to move that out a little bit, adjust the cable to where I had a nice quick pull of the handle to put the brakes on, and they stopped well. Or so I thought. I got on a Cannondale yesterday with hydraulic brakes of some type, I'm not sure what, and I felt like I was going to flip over the front of the bar, so maybe my opinion is not the best one to go by since this is really all I have to base it on. But I mean, for an entry-level person like myself, they work pretty good, and I can get them to where they don't squeal. I have to clean them after every ride. I spray some brake cleaner in there, and then maybe every other ride I disassemble them and make sure there's nothing in there and clean out the insides and put them back together. The front fork, this Suntour XCT V4, it's got 80 millimeters of preload and it works well for me, but again, I'm not bombing down trail, so you know, if you're really wanting to go hard, I'm sure that you'd have to step up. But on a $350 bike, and for me, I mean, I go as fast as I want to, and it definitely keeps up with what I throw at it. I've been, I haven't fiddled with the adjustments, but I have made sure that I keep the, I believe they're called the stanchion tubes here. I've kept them nice and clean and oiled this gasket here. You know, I'll press it down a couple times and get all the grit and grease up to this point and clean it out, and then I finally oiled around there to keep it moving smoothly, and they are working well for me. The tires are 100% satisfactory to me as well. They are the WTB Moto Raptors, and I have no complaints. They washed out once on me, but that was my fault. It was basically dust in a turn, and I carried a little too much speed. I was able to recover it, but anyway, they worked out well. They're working out well for me so far. Now, the rear derailleur. I've had to fiddle with this thing quite a bit, and by the way, I didn't mention it, and probably anybody who's watching this knows, but all of the components that I just mentioned, from the derailleurs to the brakes to the shock to the seat, all that stuff is entry level as far as mountain bike parts go. They're all, you know, I mean this rear derailleur, I think it's like 15 bucks. It's pretty darn cheap. and it's got nylon wheels, and of course I think that's standard. I thought I was going to be getting metal ones, but nylon is standard until you get maybe a bit more expensive. And I've had to adjust it quite a bit. It's been wanting to double shift up between 6 and 7, but I've got it to where I can shift pretty well with it, and they're all crisp and quick, and work for me as a novice. If I was racing or actually cared about my speed, I'm sure that there's room for improvement. I mean, anything could probably, anything over the Acera. I forget exactly. You got Altus, and then Dior, I believe, is the top. I'm sure that they're a lot quicker shifting and possibly crisper as well. But for me, this is working out well. I guess this review is just if this is a good budget bike for someone to start on, such as myself, just to see if they like the sport and if they would want to, you know, spend more on a nicer bike at some point, and just see if they like it or not. And so far, I've really enjoyed this bike. It has, I probably put about 60 miles on it, and no complaints other than the 2 minor adjustments that I've done with the brakes and the rear derailleur. Here's your front shifter. This is for your rear derailleur, and then your, I don't know what I just said. Rear derailleur, front derailleur. I barely touched this one at all. I popped it in one there and have left it there. I've shifted into second a couple times, but usually I'm just going through all these gears over here. So my Tourney front derailleur is in perfect shape because it's barely been used. Other than that, I think I've covered everything, all the major components. I enjoy the bike thoroughly so far. It's definitely made me want to continue mountain biking. The weight is definitely training me, and then once maybe I get a little more money, I can spend it on something that's lighter. This thing weighs 32 pounds, and I could definitely shave some pounds off with a little higher end bike. But for the time being, it is just training my leg muscles, and then whenever I step up, it'll be that much easier to pedal harder and faster and go longer on a lighter bike. So that's it. If you are considering a Northrock XC6 from Costco, I would say buy it. You can't go wrong for $350 or however much it costs. I think I've heard $300 in some places. Maybe at the end of the summer you'll be able to get it for that price. But I would buy it. So far, so good. And that's all I've got. Thanks for listening.